Hello and welcome to day 4 of our trip over in the Holy Land. Today we begin at the site of the commemoration of the multitudes, where the multiplication of the bread was at the feeding of the 5,000. Then we headed out to the Sea of Galilee, and it was a blustery, rainy, and chilly day today. We were amazed at how brutal the weather can be, especially since it's been sunny. But as we sat there at the sea, we were at the spot, and you'll see the church in just a moment, where Jesus met up with the disciples after his resurrection. And he met with them to break the fast and had broiled fish and talked about getting them ready to become the disciples in the world. It was on these shores that we began to see and experience the reality of how these gospel stories are coming to life to us. For today was truly a day of seeing these stories that we've been hearing for so many years come to life in this beautiful setting. The Sea of Galilee is in the shape of a harp, and they call it David's harp. But it's surrounded, it's like a bowl, and surrounded by mountains on all sides. And here's the church that's on that site where Jesus met with the disciples on the shoreline. Next, we headed to the place where the Sermon on the Mount took place. And we had a worship service with Holy Communion and heard the Beatitudes of what Jesus spoke to the people on that day who had gathered around to hear him. When we left the worship service, it was amazing how the change in weather had abruptly come about. There was calm, there was no wind, and the sun began to peek out, and it looked like it was going to be a beautiful day on the boat ride. Reminded us about the story where Jesus and the disciples were on the stormy boat and he calmed the seas. It truly felt different than what it was earlier in the morning. And then we went down to the shore and got on the boat. We enjoyed a tour around the lake. While we were there, had good conversation, and then the captain of the boat pulled out the American flag. We heard God Bless America, sang the national anthem, and then we also paid tribute to the Israeli national anthem by hearing that over the loudspeaker, and we had a great time as we traveled on the Sea of Galilee. On our return, we headed to the museum, and they found an actual boat 2,000 years old, and it could be one of the disciples' boat that was used during that time. Next, we went to Bethsaida, and this is the actual path, the road to Bethsaida. Among the ruins were many houses, wine cellars, in different places, and one home was believed to be possibly Peter's home because they found fish hooks there, as he had it as one of his houses that he used for fishing. Then we went on to Capernaum, and here is the site of Peter. This is Peter's home, where Jesus often lived with him, where Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law. And there's a church built right over the site that has a glass bottom to the church that you can look down to the inside of these ruins. Here's one of the synagogues that was built a little bit later on that site to give us an understanding of what a synagogue looked like. As we looked around, we couldn't help but believe how God had blessed us. Look forward to more tomorrow. See you then.